Hey everyone, I'm Shanif, co-founder of Nobi. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be talking about something a little bit different in this video. Normally I'm talking about Nobi and the products that we built and our customers, but today I'm going to be talking a little bit more about some of the automated marketing, specifically bottom of funnel SEO, that we are trying to build and automate with AI into our system. I know a little bit different, but figured it could be useful for folks out there who are trying to build some of their own marketing systems. And we are also now starting to build these AI agents and systems for other companies. And so if this is interesting for you, love to chat more. Okay, now really quickly, if you're not familiar with Nobi, I'll walk you through that in less than a minute. Essentially, we are a support and search AI assistant for companies. Here's a quick example. You're seeing this here as a floating bar. This is Nobi on our own website, designed for customer support. I mentioned we're also a search engine, so we do sit primarily on websites where people are selling products online. Here's an example of Nobi on Lucchese, which is a bootmaker, searching for something like ostrich, or on Tuckit, searching for something like jacket. These are all instances of how Nobi can help you search and ideally do customer support. Now, I really believe in Nobi. We've done a bunch of A/B tests, and I'm a data science guy, and so we've seen that there is a improvement in Nobi compared to other search engines when it comes to conversion rates and therefore revenue. Anytime that we run an A/B test, we actually haven't lost one yet. We've seen improvements of anywhere from 10 to 30%, if not more. And so I really think Nobi can help our customers. But as you can imagine, it's difficult out there. You know, we're a startup, we're trying to figure out how to best grow. And one of the things that we've started to look at is, can SEO help us gain more customers? So we have a blog and we started publishing some articles. And one of the things that I researched and I came across, and I really believe now, is that bottom of funnel SEO can really help you gain customers and get conversions hopefully a little bit more quickly. If you're not familiar with the term, bottom of funnel refers to people who are searching for high intent keywords, things like, best software, best accounting software for law firms, or in our case, best AI search engines for mid-market e-commerce brands. These are keywords that indicate somebody is getting ready to make a purchase, and if you can capture them at the right time, you can start to turn their query intent into hopefully sales and a new customer. So while bottom of the funnel keywords don't have as much volume as top of the funnel, they do tend to perform a little bit better when it comes to converting folks. And that's what we need right now. As a startup, I'm always looking to figure out, how do we grow more quickly, especially with a product that I have seen make a real difference. So rather than me trying to go through and write a bunch of bottom of funnel articles, which would take a lot of time, and given the fact that we're an AI company, we started to see if we could use AI to automate the creation of these articles. Now, one of the big things I wanted to make sure I didn't do was just start generating a lot of AI slop. It's really easy to just offload a lot of your own workload to AI and say, hey, I'm going to call it a day. But when it comes to SEO and GEO or AEO, depending on what term you're using, what a lot of research out there has shown is that the highest ranked articles, the highest ranked pages tend to be very valuable for the people who are searching for these terms. They provide a lot of information, or they provide value, they provide some sort of new knowledge that these people didn't have. And so when we at Nobi are creating these bottom of funnel articles, I wanted to make sure that we're adding a lot of value, which meant we really needed a system that was robust and could provide a lot of details. And so what you're seeing here is our blog page, and we now actually have a handful of automatically generated bottom of funnel articles. And that's what you're looking at here. For example, this one here, best AI shopping assistance for fashion and apparel brands, fully generated by AI. Everything from the hero image to the tags to the actual layout and the content. Here you can see at the top, it's also optimized a little bit more for AEO in that we have a headline that asks a question and then content that actually answers it. And the content is a comparison of the different AI tools that we have for fashion and apparel. Obviously, Nobi is one of them, but one of the things we're doing in these articles is we are highlighting the weaknesses of Nobi, and we're trying to do a really good job of highlighting where Nobi falls into the stack versus where you might want to use a competitor. So this is an example, like I said, of an article that we wrote. All of this is automatically generated, from the headings to the content to the layouts to the customer profiles. We have a lot of these at this point. So we've got this one here, shopping assistance for fashion and apparel. We've got search for apparel and fashion. If I go down a little bit, we've got best of for SaaS founders. We've got best AI chatbot for customer support. Now, Nobi's kind of interesting in that because it is an AI website assistant, it can help your customers do a lot of different things. And that's a little bit of a challenge for us in terms of positioning it, but it's also an opportunity because we can do a couple of different things. We're able to target a couple of different verticals and a couple of different feature sets. Now, when it comes to writing bottom of funnel SEO for something like this, there are some challenges. One, you have to know who all of your competitors are in the different industries, and you have to know what they're doing and what their pricing is and how you differ. You also have to kind of understand what are people searching for in the different industries. And so there's all of these different things you have to keep track of. So when you want to write bottom of funnel content and optimize your SEO engine for this content, you have to keep all this in mind. So like I said, we used AI to build a system that hopefully starts to automate a lot of this for us and does it in a high quality way. Again, the last thing that we're trying to do is get banned on Google or have our content severely degraded in terms of search rankings because we're writing slop. So what I wanted to do for the rest of this video is walk you through how we have built the system, how it operates, what it does, and hopefully this could be interesting for you and you might be able to use a similar approach. So I'm going to I'm going to show you now one of the few things of this entire system that is visualizable, that you can actually see. And that's the dashboard that we have built for me to keep track of everything that's going on. Now, this dashboard was vibe coded entirely. I used Cloud Code to make it. At the moment, it only runs locally on my machine. This is something that we could launch out there on the internet, though, for other customers if people started to care about this particular solution. But in our case, what we've done is we have our system, our article generation pipeline, that has multiple different steps in it. It's got keyword research and identification. It's got article outlining and writing. It's got competitor research. There's a lot of different things that go into the pipeline that we have generated. And this dashboard is a way for me to keep track of everything that's going on. So I'm going to walk you through really quickly what's in this dashboard. That's not the point of the video, though. The point is to kind of walk you through how this was set up and what are the different stages. But the dashboard gives us a way to visualize everything that's happening. So it all starts and ends with the articles. In terms of what we are trying to produce, the articles are the output. These pages, this articles page that you can see here, contains a list of not only the articles that we have already published, which are down here. At the moment, we've got 16, but working on generating a lot more, but also the articles that we have researched and that are outlined and queued up, as you can see here. This page helps me to understand where we are in terms of our overall article production. Now here you can see we have a stage for these articles, and this legend right here shows you what these stages mean. So queued means that the pipeline that we've identified took some keywords, which it thought were interesting, and I'll talk about that in a second, and it said, okay, I think I need to write an article about this. The next step is to outline the article, essentially think about what parts of the article are going to be highest level, and specifically from an AEO and GEO perspective, how do we structure our sections so that they are structured as questions, and then the content below are the answers, because research has shown that a lot of these AI systems essentially take information from paragraphs. And the paragraphs are helpful for answering a particular question. And so this particular structure of writing articles has been identified as a high probability way of generating good quality content. Okay, next, there's a really difficult part here, but it's one of the most important parts, which is researching the different competitors that we're talking about, researching their features, even researching Nobi's own features and knowing what those are. Then there's a draft stage where we actually write the content. There's quality control where we check for things, everything from, too many M dashes to bad grammar. And then there's a cut stage where we basically take the article, trim it down, and decoration, which is SEO best practices, doing things like cross-linking, adding the hero image. Okay, so this was quite a bit. There's a lot of stages here in this pipeline. One of the things that we wanted to do was identify articles that have a higher likelihood of being targeting for specific keywords. So I'm going to actually jump next into this keywords page here. Keywords are different search queries that we have identified from one of a few different number of sources. So here you can see we did run a few Google Ads campaigns, and we were able to figure out what people were targeting based on those ads. So one of the sources we have for keywords are these Google Ads campaigns that we created. Another one is the Keyword Planner, which is a tool that Google provides that helps you research and identify keywords. Let's see if I can scroll down a little bit more because we have a couple more interesting things here. I'll talk about the BigQuery FAQ in a second. Just see if I can jump to okay, so I'll talk about the BigQuery FAQ now. Now, earlier in this video, you might remember I showed you Nobi on our own website. So here it is. Now, one of the things you can do is ask Nobi, what's your price? You can ask Nobi anything. In this case, I'm asking, what's your pricing? Now, all this information, the things that people are asking and the way that Nobi responds and the information that we get, these are all logged into our events system. And if you are a Nobi customer, you can actually view these on your dashboard, which I'll show you right here. You can see the conversations that people are having. Now, our pipeline, I built it so that we can actually grab these types of questions from our BigQuery system, which is where we store all of our data, and then use that as some of the keywords that we can target. And then finally, we also target keywords from our Google Search Console, which, if you haven't set it up yet, you should start to identify, you should go into your Search Console, which I'll show you in a second, and start to pull out keywords from there. So all this goes to say, we've identified keywords that people should be searching for or that people are asking about when it comes to Nobi. And we've used those as a pool of what we can target when it comes to the types of articles that we can create. Now you'll see here a lot of these, though, are marked as irrelevant or duplicate. Some are marked as eligible. What we're seeing is when we pull down just any old keyword, some of them just might not apply to us. Others might not be bottom of funnel. And so when our system runs, it runs at 2 a.m. every night. After it has gathered any new keywords and stored them into our database, it will then go through and identify keywords that are eligible for actually being used as bottom of funnel articles. So let's see if I can just apply this filter here where we're only searching for eligible keywords. And these are the keywords that our system has identified as being high probability for Nobi. I've even added a couple of these myself in terms of alternatives for some of our competitors. But these are the keywords that our system will be targeting when it goes to write a new article. And this is updated every night, and it's hopefully optimized for bottom of funnel. Okay, so now you've got keywords. Now the next step for the pipeline is how do you come up with an article how do you come up with the next set of articles based on these keywords? Well, we've got an internal ranking system where we try to optimize for writing diverse articles on topics that we've not yet covered, but also articles that are high probability and articles that cover many different industries. So it's a basic scoring system. What the pipeline does is it'll say, look, we have these new keywords. We haven't written anything about them. We're going to now rank them, and then we're going to take the top X, Y, or Z of them. Then we actually hand them off to an LLM, and we say, hey, LLM, here are some of the keywords we're targeting, and then actually here are some of the existing articles that we've written and some of the topics that we've previously covered. Please identify new articles that we should be targeting given these keywords without duplicating what we've already done in the past. All right, so then it comes up with some articles and it says, okay, let's just queue them up, and then we're going to go ahead and outline them. So at any given point during a run of the pipeline, we will generally have a handful of articles that need to be outlined. We try to produce a couple of articles a day, but we might have outlined or researched more of them. So we come up with an outline for an article, which is the high-level set of sections, questions, topics that we're going to cover in that article. And then we go into a research phase. Okay, so researching is a kind of a tough process. The way that we have identified what we need to understand for any given article is by breaking it down into facets or attributes. So the attribute might be something like a competitor or a topic, and then the type of article also comes into play, or the type of fact comes into play. For example, some of the facts we have are related to how different systems can integrate with a search engine. Some of them are positioning, about how our competitors or how we are positioning, their strengths. There's all of these different types of facts that we collect. And we collect these by using a combination of AI to figure out what to go and research online, and then web searches and first-party data, first-party websites to go out and find the relevant facts. We then store these facts into our database. Once we have enough for a particular article, we can then move on to the writing phase. But this is a lot of back and forth with myself in terms of tweaking the system, in terms of understanding what types of facts are necessary, going out and actually researching these facts and updating them. So these facts live for about 2 weeks before they're marked as expired. And so every night that this runs, this is updated. For the most part, most of the facts remain the same, but it's important to have this research out there. Okay, so then what we do is once we've researched an article, we draft the article. Now, drafting it is essentially a process of telling the AI, here's how I want the article to be generated. And in order for us to do that, we have a series of different instructions and configuration settings. So for example, we've got an editorial style guide written in Markdown where we talk about the types of voice that we want to have. I like plain language. I don't like marketing jargon. I like simple grammar because I think otherwise it's harder for people to understand. All of these different types of rules and instructions are given to the system when it goes to write an article. And then it essentially uses a combination of the research that it had, plus the facts that it knows about Nobi, which we have also configured here, along with the style guide that we've given it, along with the types of people that we're trying to target for an SEO article. And it uses all of this to generate the content for each individual section. That allows it to then come up with a drafted article. And then we go into quality checking once that article is done. Now, again, this is all done in the same pipeline, the same set of processes and running application that happens every night. For quality checking, we have things like making sure we're not doing too many em dashes. We have, again, the style guide, which we make sure that we are taking into account. Again, it's a step where we give the LLM the drafted article that we have, and we tell it that we have to essentially follow a set of rules in order for it to generate a high-quality production article. Okay, so after the QC, we actually have a cut where what we try to do is we try to get rid of stuff that is just not needed. The LLMs tend to produce a little bit of fluff sometimes, and that causes articles to grow in terms of size. And they also tend to write a little bit flowery. So I added this cut stage where we can essentially get rid of sentences that are no longer needed. We can get rid of jargony keywords that are no longer needed. And then once that's done, we go into the decoration phase, which is the phase where we prepare the article for being published. which is cross-linking and then generating a hero image. Generating the hero image itself was also quite difficult. It took a lot of back and forth with the system to get it to understand, hey, look, this is the type of imagery that we're looking for. A lot of times we try to incorporate the Nobi pink and purple gradient here, but without being overly complex. Here you can see also the pink and purple gradient. This was complicated, but it wasn't too bad. It took a couple of days to get right. We use Gemini for the image generation. It's been really good in my opinion. And so this is something that I was really worried about would take a lot of time, but it ended up being something that I thought generates pretty good quality imagery. And now a lot of my time is spent not even on the images themselves. Okay, so once we've got a fully fledged article, what we then do is we have to publish it to our website. Now, our website is actually, we used to be on Webflow, but we ended up going with a vibe-coded website that we now host on Cloudflare. And what that means is we can actually have a GitHub repo specifically for our website. And when we need to publish an article, what we do, as you can see here, is we just publish a new PR. And this pipeline that we've generated that's running, on my machine, it's going through, it's identifying articles. It is responsible for taking the final generated article and then pushing it into a format that our website code can understand. That formatting is for those of you who are technical, it's an MDX format, which contains metadata at the top as well as JSON LD and then the article itself. So that is essentially how it works, soup to nuts. It's all auto-generated. I do spend some time now reviewing these articles, and as time has gone on, it's only been about a week and a half, but as time has gone on, I've actually spent less and less time. And my hope is that I can automate all of this going forward so that I don't have to be in the loop. Okay, so is this actually working? Well, like I said, it's early days yet, but if you go into our Google Search Console, we started generating articles about a couple of weeks, maybe a week and a half ago, April 22nd, today's May 5th. And what we started to see is that the number of impressions that we're getting in terms of non-branded keywords is growing. So when I say a non-branded keyword, I'm talking about excluding anything that looks like the word Nobi, and we've used a regex for that. And then only really looking at what are we ranking for when it comes down to high intent, bottom of funnel keywords, or at least trying to get there. Now you can see here, we're still waiting for the clicks to come in. I suspect that we might not be seeing some clicks in the SEO console because I think Google maybe hides some of them. Because when I look at our analytics, we do start to see a little bit more page traffic to some of these articles. But you can see here, we are essentially starting to rank at the very least. I think in the past 7 days, our average position is 6. And that has gotten better over time. You can see we have been higher, worse ranking positions in the past. Okay, so whether or not this works long term, we have yet to see. But what it has allowed me to do is really get away from spending all my time writing low-level bottom-of-funnel articles and building more of a system that we can use to create an automated marketing tool and automated marketing platform. We're going to combine this with other automated marketing techniques as well. Everything from community outreach to cold outreach, lots of different techniques where we as a small startup can start to really run lean and use AI to our benefit. So that's everything that we had today. Now, hopefully this was helpful and relevant. If you've got any more questions or if something like this could be useful for you, like I said, we are now starting to build out AI agents that can do a lot more than simply searching and answering customer support requests. So if this is helpful, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I hope that you're able to use some of this and improve the amount of time that you've got for yourself. All right, thanks a lot. Check out Nobi if you're looking for a search and discovery and customer support platform. Contact us if you're looking for help with AI agents. Otherwise, have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.